Hi gang, how the heck are you doing? John Lodshaw, crackpot cartoonist here, and I got a little treat. This is a video that I've been wanting to make for years. Even before I knew that there were YouTube videos, I've been wanting to make this YouTube video. And it's because of what's sitting right behind me. That is a Texas Instruments professional computer from 1983. And the thing about this computer is, well, let me give you a little background. In the early 80s, my father worked for a company called Dalton Computer Services, and they sold Texas Instruments computers in North Georgia. Now, these aren't the little TI-99 4A computers that were home computers. These were rack mount business computers. They were mini computers. And Dad was a COBOL programmer. He wrote custom software for businesses to automate their business processes, basically automate their back offices. And carpet mills, the junior college ran computers from Dalton Computer. The Whitfield County schools, the school system that I went to, used them for tracking grades and scheduling. I think the Dalton City schools did, but I'm not sure about that. The Whitfield County, Murray County, Floyd County, and Catoosa County governments did everything from issuing warrants to child support payments to scheduling the dog catcher through software that my dad's company wrote. In 1981, IBM announced, and then in 1982 released the IBM personal computer. And that was a game changer for microcomputers because IBM, coming into the business, validated the whole microcomputer thing. And a lot of other companies wanted to get in on it, and Texas Instruments was one of them. They were making mini computers and they wanted to get into this new market. The thing is that you couldn't make a computer that was 100% compatible with IBM because IBM owned the ROMs, the low-level code that made the IBM PC what it was, made it work the way it did. So a lot of companies, quite a few, including Texas Instruments, licensed the MS-DOS operating system from Microsoft because IBM, in their infinite wisdom, did not secure an exclusive license to the operating system. And of course, that strategy was the foundation of Bill Gates' fortune. What TI came up with was actually a better machine, a better mousetrap, but unfortunately, you know, the old saying is build a better mousetrap and the world will be the path to your door. That should be amended to say unless you're trying to sell mouse traps that are competing against ones made by IBM. Because back then, the saying was, no one ever got fired for buying IBM. It was the safe choice. And even though the specs on this computer were superior to those of the IBM PCs, unfortunately, this didn't sell all that well. And then, shortly after this computer came out, Compaq released the first true IBM compatible computer. It would be able to run IBM software, and it ran what was called a clean room BIOS. It was done in a way to copy the IBM PC and mimic the PC's BIOS without having an outright copy of it, which is illegal. That unfortunately sounded the death knell for machines like the TI PC. Now, as I said, my father worked for a company that sold Texas Instruments computers. And he bought one with an employee discount. I still have the receipt. And this computer, or one similar to, not this computer, but one similar to it, went into rooms that my father and I built in the basement of our house in Dalton, Georgia. And Dad would bring work home and program on it, take it back on floppy and install it on their computers at work. My sister and I, mainly me, but Anna, my sister, also used it for this as well, used it for word processing to do reports and papers for school. I've been wanting one of these for a long, long time, and they're kind of rare. Now, the way I got a hold of this is if you're interested in retro computing, you probably have heard of Computer Reset. Computer Reset was a company in Dallas, Texas that did repairs on computers back in the 80s and the early 90s. The company closed, but they never got rid of everything that was out in their warehouse. And they have a massive warehouse full of computers. It's a time capsule going back to the 80s and the 90s. This is just in beautiful, beautiful shape. So beautiful keyboard, great feel on it. Now, what I'm going to be doing here in just a moment is I'm actually going to be powering it on for the first time. I have not powered this on. I wanted to capture this on camera. We're going to do what's called a smoke test. A little nervous about that because literally that's what we're looking for is smoke. I don't know how long it's been since this computer was powered up. This could be the first time it's been powered up in 30 years. Those capacitors could pop. Okay, enough talking. Let's get to testing. Okay, here we go. Let's, again, I have no idea what is going to happen here. So here we go. I hear it's spinning up. We got a cursor. Booting Texas Instruments Winchester system. Oh my gosh, it's booting. It's booting. As I recall, this did take a bit of time here. System error. I'm driving. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. I'm going. Okay, the hard drive didn't boot. Tried. But we're not getting. Okay, so I will be right back. I'm going to go and grab the MS-DOS disks. So. Okay, this computer came with some documentation, and among them are, you really can't make it out very well, these are operating instructions. Came in these, oh man, this is kind of stuck. Came in these binders. It was very typical for the era, because the IBM released their computers in binders like this, so everybody else had to as well. It has all kinds of interesting documentation, but the big thing is that here in the back are diagnostics, a diagnostic disk. So let's see what happens. I have no idea what the condition of this floppy drive is, so let's find out. Okay. The floppy has problems. It tried to read it. Let's see if it says anything here about, wait a minute, here we go. Display message 32. Bad diskette or drive. Okay, let's see, 1104. No, it doesn't have 1104 in here, but it does have 300032, which is the error that we got here, and 30031 cannot boot from any drive, all have problems. So what I need to do is I need to crack this open, open up the, get at the floppy drive and clean it up. I do have some alcohol. I have some lithium here, lithium grease to grease the rails on it. And we'll try this again later. But the big thing is it works. This thing works. I'm so happy. I mean, I feel like doing a little Snoopy dance right now. You do not want to see that. You do not want to see that. But it tried to boot from the hard drive. Need to make sure that the hard drive is operational and it was connected. We had moved some things around. I don't know if it was or not. But yeah, this is, let's see, Control Alt Delete. Now it's interesting that this tried to boot this as drive E instead of drive C, which is what we're used to the hard drive being, and that's because early versions of Microsoft operating system assumed that A, B, C, and D were going to be floppy drives. And there is a external floppy drive connector on the back. I'll take a look at it in just a moment. But yeah, same thing. So there we go. Now, what's interesting is this this manual is actually for the TI portable computer, the Texas Instruments portable computer, portable professional computer, which was a luggable version of this computer. I wanted one so bad. Oh man, I wanted one. I really wanted one when I was a kid, and actually, and when I went off to college. In fact, here is a diagram of it. Oops, let me. There's what the portable professional looked like. It had a 9-inch screen. It was available in, in color as well as monochrome. It was essentially this computer in a compact style case. So, I'm so happy right now. I really am, because I didn't know if this thing was going to power up. So, so let's take a look at the back. There is the back side of the Texas Instruments professional computer. This computer is loaded. It is full of cards, and I'll show you the ports that are on it. First there's the power. It's a standard power connector, and then the color monitor and the black and white monitor actually plug in directly to that, so it pulls power from the power supply. It's kind of a loop through. Next to that is the system fan, and then panning across we have a floppy connector. I believe that's a 37 pin. I'd have to count. 37, that's a DB37, and then underneath that is a DIN, 5-pin DIN, not unlike what was on the IBM PC for the keyboard, and that is a DB25 parallel port. Now, next to that is the card cage, and the first slot actually has the hard drive controller. The second slot is a real-time clock and X10, which was a home automation protocol, still actually being used. But that's what those two RCA ports are for. Next to that is 1/2 of the graphics card. So yes, even back then, graphics cards were huge and bulky and took up lots of space. Next to that is the 9-pin connector for the TTL for the computer monitor, and then next to that is a serial port card for as you can see it's marked COM, and that is for the parallel port. I'm not sorry, the serial port for a modem. You could actually get an internal modem card for this as well, but that may have been used for some kind of industrial process or something like that. Okay, here's a look inside the computer. First, we have the hard drive right here. That is a 31 megabyte, that's megabyte, MFM or RLL drive. Next, we have the floppy drive, buried underneath all that circuitry. Way down there is the motherboard. And we have here the clock card. Well, actually, first we have the hard drive controller, then the clock card, a memory card, memory expansion card, then the graphics card. There in the back is another graphics card and the serial card. All right, smoke test number 2. When I had this open to show the inside just a moment ago, I discovered the hard drive did not have a power connection on it. So I connected the power, and now let's see if, because when I did it earlier, the hard drive didn't even spin up. So let's see what happens this time. Here we go. Power on. It's making sounds it wasn't before. I hear the hard drive. I saw a flash. Okay, we got an error, but it's a different error than last time. Probably have a stiction problem with this drive. Very common drives this age. Okay, well, wanted to give it a try and see what happened. So let's go ahead and shut this off for now. Yeah. I'm really happy that this is in as good a condition it is in. I'd really want to thank my good friend Tom Rever, who was the intermediary to make all this happen, and the fine folks over at Computer Reset. They have done a great job with preserving these computers and getting them out to people who are going to preserve them and take care of them and give them the home and respect that they deserve after all this time. It's a great time capsule of what computing was like back then. Frankly, it was a more interesting era for computing, I think, because you had oddball computers like this that were MS-DOS, but they weren't PC compatibles. You had Apple IIs. You had all the stuff from Commodore, Atari. Everybody was different, and you could find a computer that suited your personality. We don't really have that anymore, I'm afraid. But I'm really happy that this is in as good a shape as it is. It just needs a little bit more TLC, and it will be up and running one of these days, very soon. So again, thank you for indulging me. Thank you to Tom and the great folks at Computer Reset, and see you next time.